The Pentagon more than doubled U.S. refueling support for the Saudiled mission in Yemen over the past year, a spokeswoman told AlMonitor, despite mounting public and congressional concerns about the operation. Amid a worsening humanitarian crisis in the war-torn country, the U.S. Department of Defense provided about 480,000 gallons of aviation fuel to the mission at a cost of more than $1 million in the fiscal year that ended September 30, a 140% increase over the previous year. The disclosure comes as Yemen suffers the world's worst cholera epidemic and the Saudis face international pressure to lift their blockade of the country's ports. This revelation should be a wake-up call to every policymaker and every American that this country is literally fueling the largest humanitarian crisis in the world and the worst cholera outbreak in recorded history, said Kate Gould, a lobbyist with the Friends Committee on National Legislation, a Quaker group. The United States is operating these gas stations in the sky to fuel Saudi and UAE bombers as they rain down terror on Yemeni water and other sanitation infrastructure, the last safeguards Yemen has against these disease outbreaks sweeping the country. Though top Pentagon officials say that the United States no longer assists the Saudiled coalition with targeting Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen, the refueling mission has continued to expand under President Donald Trump. The Pentagon buys its fuel from the Defense Logistics Agency, an in-house organization that provides supplies to the U.S. military and then sells it to individual military services, including the U.S. Air Force, which is spearheading the refueling mission. The United States has conducted 2,363 refueling sorties in the Horn of Africa since the Saudiled campaign began in March 2015, but U.S. Central Command, which tracks that data, does not break out figures by country. Lawmakers opposed to U.S. support for the operation were quick to criticize the refueling figures. The House of Representatives on Monday adopted a non-binding resolution that is highly critical of Iran and the Houthis but also notes that Congress has not enacted specific legislation authorizing the use of military force against parties participating in the Yemeni civil war. The House resolution passed Monday makes it clear that the United States is unauthorized in providing the Saudis with any support in their war against the Houthis. The resolution's sponsor, Rep. Ro D. Caliph, argued in a statement to AlMonitor. Khanna said he hopes the Pentagon will cease any refueling activity for operations against the Houthis. Their actions must be limited to counterterrorism operations against al-Qaeda, he said, and there must be transparency. Human rights groups agreed. It's absurd that it has taken almost 2.5 years to receive honest answers, said Kate Kaiser, director of the Yemen Peace Project. The new data, Kaiser says, speaks to an even greater urgency for Congress to end this unauthorized military support for the coalition that has largely created the world's worst humanitarian crisis. The UN says more than 10,000 Yemenis have died since the start of the war. The Saudi coalition has come under particular criticism for bombing civilian infrastructure and blockading Yemeni ports, a move Saudi Arabia took in retaliation for a failed Houthi ballistic missile strike against Riyadh earlier this month. Backed by Gulf allies, Riyadh first intervened more than 2 years ago to restore the unbacked government of President Abed Rabbo Mansur Hadi. Since then, the United States has provided the Saudi coalition with targeting assistance, aircraft refueling and intelligence, though Washington has scaled back some of that support recently. Speaking at the Dubai Air Show last week, Lieutenant Gen. Jeffrey Harrigan, the top U.S. Air Force commander in the Middle East, said that the Pentagon had stopped providing targeting assistance to Saudiled forces in the conflict, but that U.S. advisors in the border region continued to support operations. U.S. forces regularly target al-Qaeda and Islamic State militants throughout the war-torn country. The United States also supports the operation through weapons sales to Saudi Arabia and its partner the UAE, with the State Department approving more than $3 billion in bomb sales to both countries since March 2015. The U.S. Senate narrowly approved a $500 million sale of precision-guided munitions to the Saudis in June in a sign of increasing congressional frustration. Even as it continues to support the Saudi coalition, the United States remains the largest humanitarian aid donor to Yemen, providing $467 million in the fiscal year that just ended.